Hello, this is Jim Stockstill. I'm going to bring you a program today for my program entitled The Handwriting on the Wall, and I want to talk about President Trump's executive order in 2018, the order involving if foreign powers were involved in an election, what would be the outcome. And I believe that this emergency executive act by President Trump is our hope for a victory. Uh, I, I don't believe we have any other choice other than that. But we can see that Rudy Giuliani has presented all kinds of testimony to uh, all the state, uh, many of the state legislature in the swing states, and he has produced evidence after evidence after evidence of foreign intervention. He's talked about the voting machines being uh, elsewhere, uh, being purchased outside in Canada. He's talked about uh, many things. The ballot stuffing, the ballots coming in after the election was closed, uh, people not being able to watch the voting tabulations and stuff. That the voting machines are 65% inaccurate. I mean, so so this has to have already been filed for us to be going to for us to be able to gain the victory because um, we haven't heard anything about it. But it has to be done because it says within 45 days of receiving uh, knowledge uh, that there was voting foreign uh, involvement in our voting process. It says after 45 days, uh, after the conclusion of the United States election, the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the heads of any other appropriate executive departments and agencies, shall conduct an assessment of any information indicating that a foreign government or any person acting as an agent of on behalf of a foreign government has acted with the intent or purpose of interfering in that election. This assessment shall also identify the maximum extent. So this Director of National Intelligence had 45 days from the time of the election to give this report to the government, to the president, and to the other government agency, and he had to outline as detailed as he could who, when, what, where, all the details, and uh, and he had to state the nature of any foreign interference, the methods employed to execute it, the persons involved, the foreign government or governments that authorized, directed, sponsored, or supported it. And then the Director of National Intelligence shall deliver this assessment and appropriate supporting information to the President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Treasury, the Secretary of Defense, the Attorney General, and the Secretary of Homeland Security. So this would be delivered December 18th. This report would be delivered to the President and to all these branches on December 18th. That's a couple of days from now. Here in the Philippines, it's December 17th. So it would be in the next couple of days. President Trump would have the assessment, and all the other departments. Barr is gone. Thank God, Attorney General Barr is gone because he was a swamp creature. Uh, he'd been living in the swamp way too long, and and he's gone. He's gone. So we're gonna have a acting Attorney General, which we know that Barr completely was anti-Trump. Uh, I mean, he said he didn't see any possibility of any foreign problem with it, or that there was any fraud in the election. And my goodness, we have thousands of sworn affidavits, and if you swear in an affidavit and you're wrong, you can go to jail forever. I mean, for a long time. It's a treasonous act to write an affidavit as swear, and it just would be an act of treason. So 45 days. Now, this is what gets good. So you got that. So November 3rd, there was suspected foreign involvement, foreign intervention. So immediately, this thing had to be filed. So that now December 18th, there's going to be some papers saying who, when, what did this. All right. Then there's another 45 days. Within 45 days of receiving this assessment and information described in Section 1 of this order, the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security, in consultation with the heads of any other appropriate agency, and as appropriate, state and local officials shall deliver to the President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of Defense, a report evaluating with respect to the United States election that is the subject of the assessment described in Section 1, the extent to which any foreign interference that targeted election infrastructure materially affected the security or integrity of that infrastructure, the tabulation of votes, or the timely transmission of election results. All right, so we'll make this. So you had the first 45 days in which you would get a report. And then that takes us up to December 18th. And then you have another 45 days that the report is clarified and details are brought about. And that brings us to February 1, 2021. So, it looks like it's going to be that the dates that we've been getting on the news, this, and this, and there has to be something done by January, 20th or 21st or something like that. It looks like we throw this all out the window. That is, if this is in effect right now. If it's not in effect right now, then we've lost. But so it has to be in effect, because we know that Trump has been ordained to have 2 terms, and so this has to be going on behind the scenes. You have 2 45-day periods. You have a 45-day period in which first the assessment, and then you have the second 45-day period. Now it says, the second assessment says, to what extent was there foreign interference that targeted election infrastructure, affected security of integrity of that infrastructure, affected the tabulation of votes, or the timely transmission of election results. All right, so we know that the voting machines are part. They can be hacked. They are 65% ineffective. They've already been proven to be. You can add votes. You can continue. You can run votes over and over and over. You can transfer votes from one candidate to another candidate. They're easily hacked. And we know that has happened. But the tabulation of votes, the counting of the votes, the ballot stuffing. That's fraud. That's worse. This is worse. This is an insurrection. This is foreign powers trying to control control the destiny of our nation. This is insurrection. This is insurrection and treason. This is serious. This is serious. Somebody has to pay for this. Somebody has to pay for this. If we go down this time, most of the world would go down with us. We're very important in these last days. Our nation is very important. As a sheep nation, our nation is very important. So this ballot stuffing is part of the infrastructure, and the voters, voting machines. Sidney Powell is on this. She's on this in a hard way, a tough way. We got over 1,000 affidavits saying that the people weren't allowed to observe the voting process. We've got videos that the windows were boarded over so that people couldn't look in. We've got broken water pipes that were not really broken water pipes, where everybody had to go home, but the few stayed there, and we got videos of them counting votes all night. We run analysis of ran analysis of the tendency for the voting machine to be inaccurate, and it was inaccurate to 65% of the time. So we have a good case here. We have a good case here. But now there's one more thing. And I'm sorry, this is hard. This is hard to understand. You know, this jargon, this legal jargon, the way they write this thing up. But to get to 245 days, that's 90 days. That's taking us into February 1st, 2021 to get this done. And then there's another 30 days after, if there's information indicating that foreign interference in a state, tribal, or local election within the United States has occurred, it may be included as appropriate in the assessment mandated by Section 1 of this order, or submitted to the President in an independent report, not later than 30 days following the date of this order. So 30 days after February 1st, 2021, which is March 3rd, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Treasury, the Attorney General, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and the Director of National Intelligence shall develop a framework for the process that will be used to carry out their respective responsibility pursuant to this order. The framework, which may be classified in whole or in part, shall focus on ensuring that agency fulfill their responsibility pursuant to this order in a manner that maintains methodical consistency, protects law enforcement or other sensitive information and intelligence sources and methods, maintains an appropriate separation between intelligence functions and policy and legal judgment, and ensures that efforts to protect electoral processes and institutions are insulated from political bias. Okay, so that's going to take us to March 3rd. Okay, the March 3rd. Then here's the deal. If this is proven, all property and interest that are in the United States from these foreign powers, from these foreign governments, they can be seized. They're blocked. They can't be transferred. They can't be paid. They can't be exported, withdrawn, or otherwise dealt in any foreign person determined by the Secretary of Treasury in consultation with, let me see if I can get this page here. with Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and the Secretary of Homeland Security to have directly or indirectly engaged in, sponsored, concealed, or otherwise been complicit in foreign interference in a United States election. And anyhow, they're going to block it completely. There's going to be no mercy whatsoever. All the assets, bank accounts, businesses, gold, silver, houses, land, everything that they have in the United States will be seized, blocked, and completely tied up. And that's going to happen. And there's no mercy in it. There's no forewarning. It's just going to happen. So we've got until March 3rd if President Trump has enacted this executive order. Now, why wouldn't he? He knew this was going to happen. He knew that there was going to be foreign interference. He knew that George Soros was in this. He knew that there was many internal people in this. So it would be inconceivable to me that it's not already in effect. And we're already in the second part, the second 45 days, getting ready to start the second 45 days, and then there'll be a 30 days. Assets are going to be taken, and assets are going to be frozen. I also really believe sincerely and thoroughly that Donald Trump is going to have to initiate martial law, and he's going to have to initiate military tribunals. This has been done once before. It was, or maybe more than once. I think it twice, but one time with President Lincoln, there was conspiracy during his presidency, and he invoked martial laws and set up military tribunals, and he tried the insurgents. The gravity of this election is the greatest that we've ever had in our lifetime. In my lifetime, I've been around a long time now, as 4 years ago, and this is very serious. This is very serious. General McInerney is calling for martial law. I think there's other generals and high-ranking officials. I believe Trump has the military on his side. I believe he has the police department on his side. I believe he has the people on his side. I believe he has 80 million voters on his side. I believe that this election was completely fraudulent, that Biden couldn't pack a shoebox getting people in, that most of the time he was incoherent. He was pitiful in his communications. Apparently they gave him a shot before one of those presidential debates, and it juiced up his brain a little bit, and he was able to speak coherently. But the man's evil, and he's also there's a lot of proof right now that Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden are involved in China and the Ukraine, the very things that they accuse Trump of. They're taking money, big money, and it's proven. Barr had the information and withheld it for over a year, and didn't release it during the presidential election. You know, this shows you how corrupt William Barr is. I'm so disgusted with Barr, and we got some other uglies crawling out from under the shed. So I just my hope is that Trump gets really tough, and we need to arrest a bunch of these people. we need to arrest a lot of these people. They 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 could care less if they killed Americans. We had 9/11, and if anybody has any brain whatsoever, they can study 9/11 and see that this was an inside job and that these buildings were demolated. They fell at free fall speed. They didn't pancake because pancake would slow it down. This is free fall speed. This is like dropping an apple out of the top of the Empire State Building. It would fall at so many feet per second squared, and these beams were cut, and there was explosive in there. And there's thousands of testimonies on that, but that's so they could go overseas and take out Saddam Hussein and set up other regimes. We've had some pretty evil people in the White House, and the Bush is about as evil as they come. The Rumsfeld, evil as they come. How in the world could you fly planes into the Twin Towers when you got the most powerful, most powerful defense mechanism in the world there, Langley Air Force Base and NORAD, right there in that area, probably the most defended, the secure place in the world for air travel, and they had to say move it, and then we've had Benghazi and we've had the Clintons, and they're all globalists. They want one world order. They want to be in bed with Japan, with China. They want to sell our uranium to Russia. Hillary wants to say stand down, and Obama wasn't even born in the United States. My God, what hell have we seen? I'm sorry about this. Is tough reading, but I'm going to sum it up now. That there's initial report filed November 3rd after the election. There's 45 days from that, and the president gets that report. The other government agency gets it, and then from there's another 45 days, and that takes us into February 1st, 2021, and then after that report is given to all the government agencies and the president, you have another 30 days. So we've got until March for this thing to play out, March 3rd. As far as the other deadlines about how in the world can you call a president election when there's been such evil, such provable fraud, when the whole nation knows there's a fraud. If Trump does what I say, the people will back him. The people will back his martial law. Now, I don't think it's going to be like, there'll be some places that'll be pretty tough, but Antifa will take them out. We'll arrest them. We'll put them in jail. We'll arrest Comley and Clintons and Bushes and they'll be in Gitmo. We'll arrest probably Barr and a bunch of them, but we'll clean out the swamp. We have to clean out the swamp. I mean, it's embedded. I can't see it being an all-out scale war. Some of the big cities would be dangerous, but our military will just go in and take Antifa right on out. And they won't even inhale hard to take them out. But America will support President Trump in this. We're tired of this. So I just pray that we have a little bit, that we're encouraged, and that we know that our God reigns. We know that all things work together for good for them that love the Lord, for them that are called according to His purpose. We know that we were appointed for a time such as this, and that we have to study to show ourselves approved, even in the political realm and even in the legal realm. We have to, on my page, on my website, I have this whole executive order. You can go and read, and you can read, and you can try to just decipher it. It's just very wordy. Instead of saying it in 10 words, it says it in 20 or 30 or 40 words. The same thing that you could say in 10 words. But that's the way the legal system works. That's the way the legal mind works. You just got to put a lot of extra stuff in there to protect yourself. Anyhow, we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see if I'm right on. I don't see how we can win any other way. If you can, just leave me a comment. Until next time, this is James Stockstill saying I want you to keep looking for the handwriting on the wall. Thank you.